This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready?
And now, the W with Walls and the Crew.
Good morning.
Where winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. On 100.1 FM.
Good morning.
And Facebook Live.
Good morning. Right back like we never left, another Saturday morning with the W Show Kansas City, talking sports and pop culture. If you're listening to the W Show on 100.1 FM, 1 Kansas City Radio, if this is your first time checking us out on this Saturday morning, we appreciate you for making us a part of your day. Good morning, everybody. How is it? How's everybody doing?
Doing well. Beautiful weather.
It is.
Nice.
Parade about to happen.
Yeah. We're here live at the Negro League Baseball Museum, home of the museum on 18th and Vine, and right here in Kansas City. So there's the parade today. I'm kind of excited.
What parade?
Black History Month parade.
Oh, okay.
Black History Month. Is it Black History? No, it's not Black History Month.
No.
It's the Juneteenth parade. I said Black History Month, Juneteenth parade. I'm kind of
okay. I was getting ready to say, hold on a minute, player.
I was waiting until Steve thought of himself.
No, it's a Juneteenth parade.
Which it is not Juneteenth.
It's not Juneteenth just yet, but they do like weeks up leading up to the actual Juneteenth weekend, where they have a huge festival going on down here at 18th and Vine all day. So like pretty cool.
Rally.
It is. It really is. This is something that's been going on for 20 plus years here in 18th and Vine Jazz District. So it kind of went dormant for a little bit, and then they brought it back, and it's back full swinging.
Don't let social media tell you that this hasn't been a celebration for a long time, because it has been. It's been around for coming from Texas, definitely. It has been around for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, how was everyone's week?
It was great, man.
Good.
It was great.
It was really good.
Got the NBA Finals, man. Can't wait. Can't wait to talk about it.
Me too. I got bashed a little bit on social media for my pick, but it's okay. It's okay. And I'm sorry if I'm out of uniform this morning, but my son has a baseball tournament, so it's not the Atlanta Braves hat. It is the Arrowheads. That's the name of his team. So they played at 8 this morning. They lost, and then they'll have another game at noon. So
Good luck.
Were you responsible for that team name?
The Arrowheads? No. That was we merged two teams. Our team. So we had two team names actually for the team that we was at before. The first year we started, we were the Orange Crush.
Nice.
And then the second year we were like the Vipers or something. Our uniform was green with like army fatigue. So we're like, yeah, we're gonna call ourselves the Vipers. I'm like, all right, whatever. We let the kids choose.
Okay.
So the kids chose Arrowheads on this team. So
gotcha.
Yeah. All right, let's get to today's headlines.
And now, here are the biggest sports headlines from this week. We bring them to you every Saturday morning on the W with Walls and the Crew on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Tyreek Hill's new podcast trailer makes a wild claim about the Chiefs. Let's hear what he had to say first.
Well, and once the season was over, we reached out to the Chiefs and we said, hey, we want to keep it going. Tyreek wanted to be there. Tyreek wanted to be in Kansas City.
That's you say that again. Tyreek wanted to be in KC.
Tyreek wanted to be in Kansas City.
Mr. Tyreek Hill. It's crazy because when you think about how Chiefs fans bashed not only the Chiefs but Tyreek Hill for leaving, I guess. I think this is just something to show his podcast off and to get viewers. I don't know about y'all, but I call cap on all of it.
Yeah, that's the way it is these days. You basically, that's how you promo. That's how you get people eyes on your product, is you make wild, outrageous claims and you say things that, may or may not be true. And then people are like, oh, well, I'm upset, I'm gonna go check this out, rather than, oh, I'm upset, I don't care what he's talking about, I'm not gonna look. So, but that's how you do it. That's promo these days. So I'm not surprised.
You know
exactly.
I know it's true when Andy Reid acts like he knows nothing about it.
I mean, it could. They said may or may not be true, but as long as you claim something that it's gonna hit the people's ears and get a response, then.
And in Andy Reid's press conference, he got really upset about something he didn't know about.
No, he was more upset. It wasn't about that, about what Tyreek said. It was more about the questioning and how the question happened. So the same person asked a question the week before, Andy, have you heard? It's like a gossip type question in the form of his question. And so Andy answered the first question. It was about the Le'Veon Bell, Eric Bieniemy. So he answered that one. We hadn't talked to Andy in a while. He answered that one. But then when the same person comes back this past week and says, Andy, well, have you heard, like gossip? He didn't form his question in a okay, let's hear what your thoughts are. He formed it in a gossip type way, which is what Andy said in his response. It's like, oh, you're I don't remember exactly what he said, but he basically you're TMZ. You're TMZ out here.
You're chatty Cathy.
So I'm like,
is that new in media?
No, it's never
is that new in media? Because he's been a coach for what, 30 years? That's not new.
That's new. That's new to be asking like a gossip. That's not a professional question, man.
I mean, I would.
You get what you're gonna get when you ask a question like that.
I would say I would have to go with Andy's response is like, hey man, like, we're gonna talk football here, or we're gonna chat it up. We're gonna shoot the stuff.
It's hearsay.
That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like,
I mean, it is hearsay, but what other players were they using as a decoy?
As far as what
on offense, like what other players were always in these gadget plays? Like there were no other players that were like decoys. Like his speed was a decoy. So yes,
1,000%,
he was used as a decoy.
Yeah, I mean that's not true. I think everybody who knows football saw that. So.
So if he's used as a decoy, how is he getting the ball? And I think that's what it is. I think he said something that was greatly generalized.
Yeah, it's not nuanced
in the clip.
Yeah.
And then he probably goes into more detail, and we'll find out on the 10th
on the podcast.
We'll definitely find out on the 10th, and I guarantee you he'll say a lot of true stuff, and Andy Reid is just going to act like he doesn't know about it. And he's concentrated on training camp.
He, as much as he says he wanted to come back, as much as he says that, they weren't going to bring him back. He has to understand the way business works, and it's a great business move by the Chiefs, because let's just say they brought him back and they threw $90 million out there as a number. He was not going to take $90 million. After he saw Devontae Adams and what he got, Tyreek Hill is like, oh, I did what he did plus more. The Chiefs didn't have it to give to him. So the smart move is, all right, we'll let you go to somewhere that you want to go instead of just trading you off to whatever team. So to Jacksonville. They could have sent him to Jacksonville. It's like, all right, Jacksonville, give us what you got. We'll give you Tyreek Hill.
What did they want from Jacksonville? What did they? Well, they already have a quarterback.
My point is, if they really just wanted to ship him off, they did him a favor, honestly. They was like, all right, we'll send you to a team that is somewhat, respectable, to have a young QB. They have some other pieces around and new coach. And so they send him to a team in Miami where it's like, all right, you got Tua down there. You got some other pieces around. You got friend of the show, Mike Gesicki. They have him as tight end, and they have some other pieces. So they send him to Miami, and they were like, all right, well, we can't pay you $120 million. We just can't make you the highest paid wide receiver in the league. That's not what we're going to do. So we're just going to let you go. And now Tyreek's trying to take the blame off him. It's like, all right, well, I didn't want to go to Miami. I wanted to stay in Kansas City. No, bro, you wanted to chase the money. Q. Come on, man. He wanted to go get the money.
I said that in the meeting Wednesday. I definitely think he wanted to get that big third contract. And that's exactly what it was.
And now he's trying to put it back on the Chiefs. Like, I don't want to stay there.
I think that's the problem, is that when you have former players that speak out about what they disagree with, Andy starts taking it as an attack. And I hate when he gets into this victim role and I don't know what's going on, and you know what's going on. Like, he knows exactly what's going on. You're not going to act like you're the smartest person in the room, but then doesn't know what's going on. And that's what I hate about Andy Reid. Like he.
So you would rather him like say what you think he knows. Like you would rather.
I would rather
like,
him not act like a victim and that he doesn't know. I would rather him be more like Bill Belichick and just say, I'm not answering that question, so let's go to the next one.
And he did say that.
Oh yeah,
he did. He's like,
I'm with that.
That's the first time. That's the first time.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was like, that's a pretty dumb question. Let's move to the next person.
I mean, I like that. I like that. I would rather more coaches do that as well, because we don't need the hearsay. We don't need all of that. But they're going to continue to ask those questions. So I feel like every coach they're going
to continue to ask those questions. He's the coach of one of the best teams in the league, especially over the last 3 or 4 years. So yes, you're going to get all of these chatty patty questions or whatever, chatty Cathy, whatever y'all want to call it. Like whatever y'all want to call it, he's gonna get those things. But then he starts acting like a victim and I don't know and I don't understand why these guys
are. He might get the question, but the way that the question is asked, if you ask a dumb question, you're gonna get a dumb response. In my humble opinion, he knew what you get.
When he woke up and saw that clip was out, he knew the question was coming. And he didn't prepare his lie. I mean, it's the same thing. Can
we confirm that Andy Reid is like most of us and pays attention to a lot of stuff on social media? Because I feel like there's a generational
might not,
gap.
but he has a staff, and that's what I'm saying. Like he can't act totally oblivious. This is just like when John Calipari tries to say, I didn't know what was going on my team, or who was the Louisville?
Oh, you talking
about Rick Pitino?
Rick Pitino,
yeah, like I didn't know these things were going. I didn't know they were running prostitutes.
That's actual crime. That's actual crime.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Andy Reid always takes that approach, whether it's with Le'Veon Bell, whether it's with Marcus Peters, whoever it's with. It's an old disgruntled teammate that didn't want to come back. Probably because of him, it's always Andy. I don't know anything about that.
Well, you're not gonna play dumb. Like if somebody asks you,
he's got to stop playing dumb.
But here's and in Andy's defense on this one, he didn't play.
Andy doesn't need defense.
He didn't play.
He needs one on the field, but he doesn't need it.
He didn't even act like he didn't know what was going on. He never even got to answer his question. He was like, "Oh, so what are we doing here?" Basically, and then he said, "That's a dumb question. Let's move on." Or no, that's a pretty stupid question. Let's move on. So that's what happened.
More coaches do that out here, y'all, because they gonna attack you like TMC is the new wave.
What question was formulated? Have you heard? Did you hear? Have you heard? No.
I think it's silly. I would be much more.
He's heard, and that's why he was so uncomfortable, because he couldn't lie. He hadn't figured out his lie yet, and that's fine, Coach. You had other things to do besides come up with a lie. Like he didn't have, when things come up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, coaches don't have to answer because you have to wait till like Monday or Tuesday to talk to him. So they got like 4 or 5 days to get their lie straight. Andy didn't have time to get his lie straight. And that's fine. That's fine, because he has plenty of time.
Dude didn't know.
He has the whole weekend to get his lie together.
Now the NBA Finals Game 1, Boston Celtics defeated the Golden State Warriors. What did you guys see from the game? We'll start with you.
I was a little bit wrong, and that's okay. America, it's okay to be wrong. I definitely thought the Warriors, they did come out in that first quarter. I think we all saw, like, Steph went crazy, but they were only up like by 4 points, and then by the end of the second half, the Celtics were up, and they had that patented Warriors barrage where they went off, and then the Celtics weathered it, and all of a sudden they came back with their own. So I didn't expect that sort of game, but I'm still expecting Warriors in 6. I've said it from the very beginning. Warriors in 6, they're the more veteran team. They have more experience. They have honestly, they have better players equipped for the NBA Finals than I feel like the Celtics have. Now, the Celtics, they also have the 2 best wings. That is very important on this stage. But, it's Steph Curry we're talking about, it's Draymond, it's Clay. Like, it ain't nothing changed. It's just they're back and they're a little more seasoned. So I still got Warriors in 6, but shout out to the Celtics for stealing that game 1.
Man, it's a 48-minute game.
Of course, always, every single day.
It doesn't matter how you start; it matters how you finish. Steph came out and ran out 5 threes?
6,
30 and 3 quarters.
Yeah. So you got to play 4 quarters. No, you absolutely do. And the Celtics kept, chipping away. They kept going. They kept chipping away. Then it only takes one person on either team to catch fire. And once it's a game of runs. Everybody's gonna have their run. And when the Celtics started making their run, Steve Kerr didn't have he didn't have him come back for it.
I mean, it's hard to make a run for that though, when like teams are making threes that they don't usually make, like threes with hands in your face, threes where I'm up into you, and you shooting where I'm 2 inches away from you.
Celtics aren't going to do that.
So Marcus Smart has been consistent this whole season. I can say that even throughout the play. We just look at the playoffs as a sample size. He's been consistent throughout the whole playoffs. He's been hitting shots.
When I'm here.
He has been here. That corner shot that he's been making that pretty consistently. Defend it and hand in his face. Jason Tatum's going to give it to you, right? And then Al Harrison, he's been hitting that wing 3. Al Horford's been hitting that wing 3. He's been consistent with it. So once they start
flowing, it hard, man. I find it hard. I feel what you're saying.
Just to be honest, I got Celtics in 7. I've been saying that.
So I mean, if you're gonna win the series, it has to be in 7 games. It has to be.
Let's go 7.
And but then again, that 7th game is gonna be at the Chase Center in Bay.
They've been playing well on the road. You know that
they have.
They've been playing. They beat the Heat in Miami.
They're just stealing game 1 says a lot.
It does.
They beat the Heat in Miami for game 7 in Miami.
You're right. No, you're right.
But could this Warriors team just be playing around just like the Bulls playing around with the Supersonics in 96?
That ain't what you want. Especially when you get the Celtics and the Celtics can catch fire like they have, and once they get on a roll, it's like they beating us at home. You don't play around at home.
Well, and I think the Celtics nucleus is a lot better, especially post Kyrie. And not better in the sense of skills. I think they're better in the sense of experience. I think they have been a young team for a while. Jaylen Brown and the kid from St. Louis. It's both of those were very young players over the past 4 years. I think now that they have more experience, you got Al Horford in the mix. You have a lot of different just role players that are stepping up, and then you probably have the best coach in the league right now. Shout
out Ime Udoka, man. He's doing great in his first year. As a head coach,
first year, and married to Nia Long. I want his life.
He winning. There's no losing in this man. Even when he loses, he wins. So it's going to be a great series. I hope it goes 7 because I think that's what everybody who loves sports, best 2 words and sports game 7. So I would love to see it go 7.
And I think the Celtics before game 1, I thought the Celtics would win 2 games, but I mean, from what it seems, they may eke out 3.
Look, if they win at what is it, Oracle?
Yeah,
they win Oracle tomorrow.
They changed
it. Chase Center. Yeah, they changed it. So they moved to San Francisco. But if they pull it out tomorrow, it's a wrap.
Oh, it's ugly.
It's ugly. 2 wins at home.
Then
you go back Boston.
And I don't even. That's not even a thought in my mind, because if it does happen, and just think about it. It's 2 games on your home floor that you lost, and you're supposedly supposed to be the best team in the league, and you supposedly have the best player in the league, Steph Curry. It's ugly.
I just don't see the Celtics shooting like they did.
Me too. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it.
That's a tough one. Catch fire, and you know that it's game. But here's the thing about that too. Steph played well. Steph can't play much better unless he's scoring 50.
And he started coming up short towards the end of the game.
Did.
So I think he ran out of juice for 1. But Dellavedova had a good game against him. Let's not reach too far.
It's gonna happen. And when we're talking about these NBA finals, your superstars, everybody's keying in on them. So your role players immediately they have to step up, and
look,
somebody has to do it.
I would live with Draymond shooting a three. I would even live to a certain extent of Clay shooting. I'd rather Clay than Steph.
Yeah, no, I agree
right
with
now.
That. I agree with that. I agree with that.
So once you start running Steph off the 3-point line and making him get tough, and I know it's tough, but making him take jumpers further and pointers further and further out, that ups your chances to win.
But you don't want him to cash one of those because once one drops.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. So like when he's coming off that screen, and it's kind of, once he's coming off the screen, and it's kind of like when Marcus Smart was in the huddle. I don't know if you saw that. He was like, hey, you got to step up. You can't be flat.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times he would come off the screen and they back up. Like, you got to get a hand up, something.
For my basketball heads, no more drop coverage on Steph Curry. Make sure you are far up on that line because Steph.
Well, and I think that's what the Warriors will end up doing this time is really playing a lot in their chest, playing a lot in their face because
they letting the Celtics do it. They're letting the Celtics pretty much grab them on the perimeter and shove them around. Yeah. So why not? I mean, you might as well. If they're going to let you do it, get away with it. So.
Now, ESPN's Mike Bean and Jeff Van Gundy are sidelined for Game 1 of the NBA Finals after testing positive for COVID-19. As a result of the positive test, there was an all-black on-air game crew, and the trio could be the first all-black broadcast team to call any major championship event in the U.S.
Q,
start with you.
I mean, it's crazy that they had to do the right thing for COVID. COVID
Facts.
forced them to do it.
Facts.
But, I mean, I love it.
I mean, the game is – what is the number in the NBA? What is it? It's like 67%, 70% black.
Yeah.
Why hasn't this been a thing already? And it's not really about like them putting black people like, in these positions. It's more like get the best possible people, and the best possible people who know basketball are to be black. So why?
I wouldn't even say the best possible people that know the game, because I mean there are a lot of different personalities in football that don't know the game.
That's where football is where it's at.
And they host a show like that. I mean that's all and well, but I think you want people that are more entertaining, people that have a certain charisma, and it's not the same old thing that we've seen for a couple of 100 years. It's like since the television was invented, and this just shows that America has a ways to go. And as much as 2020 felt good in celebrating and whatever it is, America still has a long way to go. And I mean, I think this is a step because
I agree.
Why not?
I agree, 1,000%. I agree.
Especially in baseball. It needs to happen in baseball because baseball is so bland.
I need to be entertained.
And I want to see some barbershop talk.
I do.
During baseball.
I do.
Please.
Definitely. I love to see it, but it was like Noel has said, it's like, why is this just now happening? Like it was nice to see, and I feel like it should be a domino effect that should have already been happening.
Facts.
It should be a domino effect. When you're looking at the powers that be, it's all about control. It's never about the right thing. It's never about what the audience wants. It's about having control. And if I can if I'm the person that can have my finger on the button, I'm going to do it. And that's where it is. Like,
and it is, I hate really phrasing it the way I did, but I'm honest because I love Mike Breen. I love listening to him, call the games, but it's like, we have to get to a point where we're diversifying. Like we have different people calling these games that also has charisma. He has a lot of charisma. He calls the game great, but it's like there's a black Mike, Breen. There are people out there. They just need these opportunities, and we're going to continue to harp on this until we feel like it's fair.
And Mike Breen has the whole preseason and regular season.
Now he has it. I mean, people love hearing him. You can't lie and say people don't, because I do personally. But you're right.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, it's been past due of like them having an all-black crew. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll see that it's not a bad thing. You can do it. And I think sometimes Sometimes the folks to be able to see it, and then they're like, all right, it's not so bad. We can do it again.
Exactly.
Well, and it's not a fact of it being tested and proven. We know this. These people do this as a career.
Right.
There's no testing and proving. And I mean, maybe I'm speaking from a place of, in Kansas City nightlife, it's always, the black DJ always has to prove himself. Mm-hmm. For what? Like, why do these people? This is their career.
That's what I'm saying. These are professionals.
There's nothing to be proven.
Right.
They're really good at it. So again, they're no argument against it. Like you can't argue against it because these people are good at their jobs. There's no best, and especially when it comes to black people, that's when we start talking about who's qualified for the job. Mm-hmm. But it's never the other way around, and that it's frustrating because there's some progress that could be made. And there's always somebody standing in the way of it. Mm-hmm.
Now, LeBron James joins Michael Jordan as the only NBA billionaires. Forbes broke down James' biggest revenue generators from his various endeavors, and some of them were Spring Hill Company, Fenway Sports Group, real estate properties. So he's on a roll.
No, definitely. And I love it for the Spring Hill, isn't that the production company?
Yep.
So I love it for that. Specifically because it shows that these business savvy minds are not just white men, and I love it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
One, for LeBron, because it could be a job. It is a job creator.
It is a job creator. Thank you.
For a lot of people in his circle and in his city. So I love it.
And people don't understand how hard it is to make not only $1 million, but to get to $1 billion with a B. Like that's no, out of it is from it's like what 300 close to 400 million from just playing the game that he loves.
Yeah, of course.
And everything else is kind of downhill after that. And so, I mean, I'm happy that he's able, not only for him, but just for the culture, that people know that hey, it is you can do it. Like people that look like me are able to make $1 billion, and so he's the second basketball player ever to do it behind Michael Jordan. So it's dope. And I thought that Magic would get there, but I'm not sure. I wonder how close he is because I thought that he was like right there.
I think Magic was too. Because he lose out in the Dodgers? Because I think he had to give up his Dodgers stake.
Did he? I don't know.
He did have a stake in the Dodgers. He doesn't now.
And Brian got that's where a lot of his money came. 80 million came from the Dodgers. I think.
No, Fenway. I thought that was.
Okay, Fenway.
Fenway Sports Group,
Fenway.
90 million.
90 million.
Mm-hmm.
See, and then he also has the soccer team. I don't know what I should know, but I don't. But I know he has a stake in that, and it's just like he's just got his hands in everything. I love it for the narrative of. Oh, you remember when he went to LA? Oh, he's just going out there he's not there to play basketball. Well, he just became a billionaire, and then he just had a season where he averaged 30 points a game.
And he won a championship while he was out there.
He won a championship
to the Lakers' legacy.
Everything else is cake.
That's what I'm saying. That's all icing. That's all extras. Like he's doing it as such. He's doing all of this stuff as such. And let's not forget, he seems like a pretty good dad.
Yeah.
Like I feel like from everything we've seen, like most of the times, Mike back in the day, I know my dad. We used to talk about it. It didn't seem like he was a very good. They didn't paint Mike as a very good dad. We don't know if he was or what. But they
Mike was
paint
playing though,
they were saying Mike was not really that active, and it seems like LeBron is doing all of this stuff. He has the school. I mean, and he's also a great dad. Look, Superman,
all of these good things, and we still don't know why Steve doesn't like it.
You know why, man? It's all good. It's all good.
I know why. I don't act brand new today.
It has
like you don't know.
Right. It has nothing to do with LeBron James. It has everything to do with everything around him. So it's all good. But just we're gonna celebrate this man. He's down in history as one of the greatest people of all time. I feel like so.
And never has to check his bank account. Like that's like you never even have to check it at that point.
No,
for what?
I honestly don't think he's had to check his bank account since he's been in the league.
Like everything's 17 years old.
Everything has been his face. Like you go into a restaurant, oh, I'm LeBron James.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like, come on.
This is it.
When you're that rich, you don't pay for anything.
No, and it's funny. It's not like he has $1 billion just in a bank account. It's like, hey, I can make this phone call
through different business
across the water. All right, well, I need this wired to me now for this. Okay, yeah, go ahead. It's yours.
So you said it's across the water, which he ain't paying taxes on it?
Man,
that's another thing.
It's probably stuff he ain't paying taxes on.
Nah.
It's probably a bunch. I mean, we're not gonna act like having $1 billion is just everything is just straight up everything the way it's supposed to go. It's probably some stuff in there you're like, that's not right. But it's just us regular people. We not up there in that tax bracket.
How many zeros in a billion?
In a billion, let's see here. So we got
too many. You don't worry about it.
Got 12 zeros.
Now, the new ESPN Films 30 for 30 documentary, The Greatest Mixtape Ever, premiered on Tuesday night. I know we've talked about it all week, tapping in. What were y'all's thoughts on it?
Q, I want to hear your thoughts about when the guy was talking about DJing and actually it creating a mood. He actually made those mixtapes. Like people don't act the music. The music was a big part of it. So I want to hear part of it. I want to hear what you thought about it.
The good thing about that era is that we were coming into a digital era of music. So music was a lot easier to get. But then it was also a lot easier for you saw when he started talking about Volume 2, he got bigger names to get on there. He had actual
Snoop
artists
Dogg,
that were creating songs specifically for that. That was the energy around and one. When you look at basketball, you look at players like Allen Iverson that really revolutionized the game on a global scale from a ball handling perspective. But then we also saw the Rafer Austins, the hot sauces. A lot of these different guys, the moves look similar. Everybody had their own little sauce to it. It's the same in the DJ world, but DJs and basketball and entertainment, it all intertwines. No matter what city you go to, there's some kind of like Boys and Girls Club League or some kind of rec league where it's a DJ playing, and it's a very different environment. So yeah, the and one, I loved it because that's when my DJ career started, was early 2000s. But then just even remembering a lot of the parties that I did around that time, a lot of those players would show up, the hot sauces, the AOs, the half man, half amazing. I think Spider at one point when it was on the way down, like a lot of those guys came to Kansas City a lot, and it was more than just Kansas City. That was how much they were on the road. They were always on a bus going somewhere across country. And they liked Kansas City so much they would probably stop here between here and St. Louis, but that was just it was a time in Black culture, because it was really, and one was really one of those things that took hip hop culture and helped like push it more towards the forefront. You saw it more in Sprite commercials and Coke commercials and a lot of different things.
Even Nike adopted it.
So there was a lot behind it, but for the DJ culture, the mixtape time, you think of the dramas, you think of really a lot of DJs. There's a lot of DJs. They
had a bunch of them in there
that you could mention. But I'm saying as far as like mixtapes,
he was. I think he was in the first one, in the first and one mixtape.
He was.
Yeah.
Okay, but a lot of culture was in that. When it comes to fashion, music, DJ, all of that, and I loved it. I watched it and I was just sitting there like it was taking me back. It was taking me back to a good time.
And for me, it was like seeing the atmosphere at those games. Like we went, of course, when we went to Venice Beach and we got to see some of the courts there and stuff like that. But like them dancing and just how hype it was and that many people, like I would just go there just to kick it one day. You might not.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was a block party.
Like
basically,
that would be insane. And so I would love to be able to experience one of those in the flesh.
Is from coming from a basketball aspect of it. I mean, it just brings something out of you. It either completely makes you shrivel up and you're not who you say you are, or it brings all of the color out of you. So like I would just put myself in that situation where it's like you got all these people on the sidelines, like your foot can be the out of bounds line and your foot could be right here and there's 15 people yelling at you. And like it's just a crazy atmosphere to like play in and compete in. And it's like some people just, ain't quite built for it. Like some of the NBA players where they interviewed, they're like, some guys from the NBA, they ain't really built for this. And I mean, vice versa. They also said, hey, y'all on there, this NBA stuff another level from what you over there. It looked good over there, but it ain't sweet over here.
Some of them can compete though. Like,
I mean, obviously Red for Austin was the one that they brought up the most.
And guys that just really like hooped for real, like main event. You had the guys like AO who used to like when Allen Iverson used to do his open runs, he called AO. Like back, like, hey, show up. This is where we're gonna be at. Bring all the kids. I got 50 pair of shoes I'm giving away. And like a lot of those guys could hoop, but it took me back to just being in a neighborhood and guys just be out there on the blacktop. Like you don't see kids outside playing basketball anymore.
No, I agree. That era was ending by the time I was really coming up. That was over.
Like where you knew when you going home and your hands would just be so black from playing like on that day. Shirt, like if you had on a white shirt, it was a wrap. So the whole thing is just bringing back the culture of hoop, man. I loved it, and just took me back to being at Central Park till the lights came on, and state line,
and it took me back to like when the last time I had played really organized basketball. I think it was like 96, and the hottest song at the time was Peter Gunn's New York is a and so like coming back from halftime and after timeouts, they would always play that, and the gym would go crazy on Saturday mornings. And this was Kansas City, so again, you see how like the culture of basketball, music, and fashion and all of that really went from, I mean, just even here from 96 to like that early 2000s, it was a lot that transpired. And I'm grateful for it just because it inspired me a whole lot.
And even Iman like alluded to it in it. He was talking about like there's like a disrespect factor on the courts and stuff like that, and people chirping. And I feel like now you think about it, like you see NBA games and stuff, it's almost like it's soft. Like I want, like going back to like whenever guys are chirping on the courts and really going at it and getting hype, like I wish we could get that still in the pro.
Oh, it's
like
still that. No, it's still that. It's still that.
It's like
it's still that.
It still seems soft. Like you know what I'm saying?
Watered down.
Yeah, like
just
as far as the physical, I think as far as the physicality of it, yes, but the
talking part is still there.
It's
the talking part, they just can't do anything to each other now. But the talking, I would say, it's probably got even worse just because, like, now it's like, man, we in these stadiums with all these people, like I can really like get into your head. I'm right here with you. Like I don't feel like it's this demonstrative because you get teased and fines and things like that. But like as far as like being on the court and just being next to somebody, I feel like it's gotten like trash talk has gotten worse. I feel like,
I mean, can it get worse than telling somebody their wife tastes like Cheerios? I mean, that's pretty bad.
That's top of the line there.
But all that talk it's definitely still there. But like, and you know what kind of watered it down was a lot of these guys becoming friends. Sure. Like away from the court, like you'd have LeBron, CP3, Melo. But when you get a bunch of guys that are friends, the only outsiders from that can't really like hoop on that level. So then you can't really talk the mess that you would talk. Like when Jordan was playing, Isaiah Thomas really thought that he was better than Jordan. Now you get guys like guys don't really feel like they better than Bron.
I mean, like coming up, like I went to your camp. I know you personally. I took pictures with you. Exactly. I ate at your house. What am I going to say to you when we in this NBA finals that's going to be super disrespectful? You're going to look at me like you're crazy. You were a kid at my camp.
You wear my shoes.
I dunked on you. Like
I think the point that you make, I think a point that supersedes that is Jordan had a personal brand. Isaiah Thomas didn't.
Right.
Now Chris Paul has a personal brand. Kevin Durant has a personal brand. I think it goes back to personal brands. You don't want to be on camera, especially saying something, mouthing something, because
you see how they talk to each other like this. They talk like this,
and a lot of the trash talk happens like when they right next to each other. It's a lot of that trash talk, so you don't see it, and just like you see, players picking at each other and grabbing jerseys and stuff. It's a lot that you don't see, and I think most of that just goes behind like protecting their personal brand.
And you get guys that don't care too.
And
Draymond, like
Draymond doesn't have like a personal brand. Draymond is known as a he's
his personal
podcast
brand.
host.
That is his personal brand.
So, but again, Pat Beverly, that is his brand.
Exactly.
To be in people's face. Too bad Dellavedova wasn't that good to get there.
You can't work at Dellavedova.
You lit him up 2 times.
Now, legendary John Madden returns to cover of Madden NFL 23.
This feels right. It just feels right. I mean, especially with him passing away. That's what it's supposed to be, man. And it's his game. I mean, it's my name on it, so it feels right.
And then who would you Madden curse? Like who would have been on
hey, let's think about it
this year.
Let's think about it. Who would be the Madden curse? Like, would it be Joe Burrow?
I think you throw Aaron Donald on there. I think a guy like Aaron Donald just coming off winning the Super Bowl. I mean, there's a bunch of guys you can just throw on there. I
feel like Joe Burrow would be the pro because he didn't win the Super Bowl, but he became like a star. Even if he may not quite yet be the star in like talent, quite like in production yet, which he is like very good, but like he's a star now just because of his face, like what everybody made him up to be. Yeah. So I thought he would be a good choice, but I mean, obviously Madden is who I would choose. Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we'll discuss PGA Tour threatens disciplinary action against breakaway players. Keep it locked in. This is the W Show. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning is everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Come spin with us, Kansas City. KC WeSpin 360 is the coolest 360 video spinner experience for events. KC WeSpin 360 is taking it to the next level. The 360 video spinner platform rental will be the life of the party. Everyone will be talking about their 360 video experience while bragging about it on their social media pages. The captivating slow motion and reverse effects will have your
where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Remember to interact with our show. Use hashtag talk about it, message us, and we'll talk about whatever topic you want. Now, PGA Tour threatens
and once the season
players as Dustin Johnson heads up controversial Saudi Tour opener. Steve, we'll start with you.
This it's getting pretty interesting, with PGA Tour and the Saudi Tour that they've come up with. And I don't know if our viewers have been, kind of locked in and following the news. It's basically Saudi Arabia, a lot of the oil money. Now they have a lot of it. And these guys are trying to figure out something to do with it. And they've come up with this golf tournament, a golf tour similar to the PGA Tour. And they play a lot of the tournaments in the U.S. So the guys don't have to fly all over the country. I mean, over the world and play these golf matches. So they're offering guys $20 million, $50 million, $100 million to join and leave the PGA Tour to come over to their tour. So the PGA is just like, hey, if you guys want to go over there and do it, fine. You're not going to be able to ever come back and play in the PGA again.
See how salty they are.
They've never had any competition ever. So now it's like,
and that's the point I was making some month back. Because when you look at intellectual property and culture that's stolen from Black and brown communities, it's okay. But now that the PGA Tour is threatened by Black and brown people outside of America, now they want to raise a stink. And it's like, okay, well, just pay your players better,
right?
Play your product better. But they're not going to do that. And it's funny to see. It's funny to see.
I think.
Oh yeah. Well, and I was gonna say because I brought it up in the meeting about what was it, the China basketball league?
Yeah.
That was trying to take that was trying to take a lot of these different players. And I think we're seeing this. So there's gonna be some kind of compromise at some point. But again, we saw Tyreek Hill run for the money. I hope these PGA players run for it too.
And there's never been, like, if you think about the NFL and where you had the XFL and you had, the USFL, all these other leagues, they've never had a league that has had enough money,
resources. Exactly.
The Saudi Arabian league has enough money to pay these guys millions of dollars
and market them.
So I think that's what makes it scary for the PGA. And that's what makes them like, oh no, we're gonna have to take some very serious disciplinary actions against these guys to tell them, hey, you're not gonna ever be able to come back. It ain't how some people can say indefinitely and then you can still but this is never.
And is this something that's in their bylaws, or is this a rule that they just made up reactionary?
I want to know. That's my only question.
No, because it's a reactionary rule.
So there's rules that say you can't go and play in any other tournaments and miss a tournament, but not like you can't just go over and play in another tournament.
So they changed the rules.
They're trying to change it after the fact.
So yeah, that's my only question, because it just seems like it's just competition, and they're like, all right, well, we don't want competition. We don't want we want all
good
of the players.
Club. That's what it is.
That's what I'm saying. We want all of this. You can't have none of this. We're basically, what is the word that I'm looking for? Monopolizing this.
Yep.
And that's just, it's just sour grapes. Like it ain't even like cool. Like it's like, man, let's see what happens. Let's see what this develops into. Maybe we have two leagues competing where we come to an agreement at the end. All right, well, we're going to take the best players from here. We're going to take the best players from here. We're going to have one all-out tournament. But I don't think they want, we want all of them. I think that's sour grapes, man.
Whoever is on the executive board at the PGA better have a movie night and watch State Property. They're gonna have to get down,
or lay down.
Because you're giving guys like Dustin Johnson $20 million. You're giving Phil Mickelson $40-50 million to come and play in 8 golf matches. Where at a PGA Tour, you won't make that for 5 to 10 years. So you can make that in one single basically season. Man, sign me up.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not staying for that. Like, you gonna have to look. Oh, they talking to me. I got an email right here. You want to see it? So what y'all gonna do?
And the thing about it too is kind of like we talk about NCAA. The reason why they didn't want to play players is because they didn't want to lose money out of their pocket. Same as PGA. They don't want to lose that money, that sponsorship dollar. But if you don't have the players, let them go on over there. Because it's gonna make it a whole lot easier for guys like me to join the PGA.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what did the Texans owner say? Now you got the inmates running the prison.
Basically,
this all boils down to the same thing we argue about every week. It's at least in one or two subjects. They don't want us actually controlling something. And
look, let them allow my score to be able to be on the tour. PGA Tour, shoot.
I'm telling you, man, it's just.
I'm looking for a caddy, just so y'all know.
Man, listen, I might learn how to play golf if that's what's going on here.
Now, Packers QB nails birdie on final hole to help Rodgers Brady defeat Allen Mahomes in the match 6.
It sounded to me like Mahomes was carrying.
Yeah, he had him on his back. He was carrying him on his back. It was a good match. I don't know if y'all watched it, but it was really good.
Like, I didn't catch all of it.
I watched the whole thing, and it was really dope. Like, just to see the fact that they were being kind of humanized, because when they're playing football, you can't really relate to them.
True.
It's a helmet.
You can't really relate. But then them playing golf and them shank like Tom Brady was like, man, hey, y'all gotta move because I'm gonna shank this thing. And he came out there and shanked it. Yeah. And it was a couple of the fans that got hit with the ball, so it kind of humanized them a little bit. And so I really like
you love that.
Oh, of course. Tom Brady shanked like 4 or 5. He had 5 different tees. I'm like, oh yeah, my man.
But it didn't help you forget the 2018 championship game, though, did it?
But he shanked the ball, so it really humanized them. And I really love the fact that they was able to like do that and be good sports about it. But it was some good golf. It was some good golf too.
Because golf, that's what really is. Golf is about hanging out, relaxing, getting a beer with the fellas, talking some trash. I think Q alluded to it in the meeting. It's like that's what it's to get away from the wives, get away from the old misses. Yeah. But yeah, that's what golf is about, man. So I think that's the dopest part about it.
And I think Pat ain't trying to get away from his.
Stop. Matter of fact, congratulations to Patrick Mahomes and Brittany Mahomes on their expectation of their newest youngin.
Another one.
Look, you
going back to back.
DJ Khaled over here.
You saw he made that announcement and got right out of Dodge.
Yeah, it's back to back. He going back to back. That's a bold move, Mr. Mahomes. That's very bold of you.
Now, transgender swimmer Leah Thomas says trans women are not a threat to women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
Steve?
This is interesting because we've been talking about this a lot more here lately. And it's kind of one of those subjects where you really don't know because you're getting on the level that she's on, it may not make a difference. But on a level of like 9, 10 to, going in through high school, you get some young ladies that aren't really as developed as they would as grown women. So on that level, I kind of would veer away from it. But in an adult sport, I think it's more of an even playing field, because you have some women that can beat men. And so you look at Venus and Serena, you get on a tennis court with them, I wouldn't be able to hang.
That's what I'm saying. It's men that can't hang with them. This is not a sport that's based on physicality.
Yes.
Like when we're talking about our footballs and our basketballs, team sports where it's based on physicality, really.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about swimming where it's an individual. I mean, there are relay races, but it's mostly based on the individual. So like when we talk about things like track, I can see, sports like that where it becomes more of a thing. But I feel like it's going to be a little bit harder when it comes to sports like I said, football and basketball. So, but it is good. I did really want her to, come out and speak out. And I read the article and everything she had to say. And she seemed like she was pretty level headed about the whole thing. And, I enjoyed her comments. I really did. So,
yeah. And once strength comes into play, I think those sports you really not have to question, but it's like, okay. All right, what can be done so that way it's more of an even playing field?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's you have to use your endurance to push through water,
right?
I mean, I don't think there's much of a difference between men and women in that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as strength goes, it's a huge difference. It's a huge whether you're swimming, playing soccer, or whatever.
What does that have to do with swimming? The fastest time in swimming is not always the most buff and the most
I'm thinking about like wingspans and stuff like that. Like obviously that's going to be a big difference between
that doesn't. That's just like saying somebody taller is automatically going to run faster because their legs are longer.
I don't care. You look at the
swimming is technique.
The technique and you think about the chest of a man and a woman. It's totally different. As far as strength goes.
So
as far as strength goes, and your swim and your stroke. Look at Michael Phelps compared to, and I don't know what.
What makes Albert Pujols' technique better than Mookie Betts?
Nothing. They're both professional baseball players. But we're talking about two males compared to a man and a woman.
Yeah, but we're talking about size. We're talking about muscle size. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we're talking about humans and muscle size versus technique.
But
that's what I'm saying. You're talking about physicality. I'm talking about technique.
Yeah, and so technique is the same as far as swimming goes.
Swimming is about technique, and it's
strength too.
I think we just need to look at times when we're coming to the swimming. Because I mean, when we're looking at the men traditionally and the women and the times are faster typically on the men's side. But I think when she alluded to, she's saying that, transgender athletes aren't trying to gain an advantage. They're just trying to be themselves.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine.
I think that is what people need to hear. That's what they need to read. They need to know. But also there has to be, it can't be a catch-22. We have fairness on both sides of it. So like, she, in the same way we have to understand that she's not trying to gain an advantage, she also has to know that she does have inherent advantages to these women because she did used to be a male. She was born as a male. Yeah. So I think once we get to that bridge and we can cross it together, I think then we'll find these implementations of rules that we need to make it fair for everybody, because there are these women that are getting the short end of the stick.
Right.
And I think what y'all were missing in my technique versus strength. Again, you're swimming. Two people can swing a bat and hit a home run. And that's what I'm like. It's about technique more than it is about strength in swimming. In track, you may have an argument. I still don't think you do, because again, running, I think, is more about technique and power and endurance versus actual strength of pushing weight. So.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we'll have our Hater Love It segment and kick it off with our sneakers of the week. This is the Dev Show. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Starting off with our sneakers of the week, we had the Nike Air Max CB94 Suns.
Steve missed out, didn't you?
I did miss out. I mean, I really did miss out on these. I just did. I can't even say much more about it. I really did just miss out.
Regular occurrence.
Yeah.
Air Jordan Red Oreos.
I like these
for getting an all-white shoe. I'm kind of smarting up in my old age. I haven't got too many all-white shoes here recently. I've gotten some stuff that I can easily be cleaned with a little toothbrush,
the simple stuff.
Yeah. I think I had those Barclays back in the day. Not that color, but I think the first one of those. But I like these all-white J's.
My favorites this week, Nike Dunk Low Rose Whisper.
Yeah, those hit.
Yeah, those are nice too. Those are
nice.
Those are very tough. Very tough.
And the Air Max 90 Wash Denim.
No.
Dumpster juice.
Give me the throw
Dumpster juice. I ain't heard that in years. I love it.
Not a fan. Now, Jordan Brand debut slip-on clog sneaker. Hate it or love it.
Man, I'm proud of these dang clogs. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
Q, you going to get your pair of those?
No. I'm not that name brand guy. So, yeah.
Portland Trailblazers not for sale, though. Phil Knight did make offer.
Sell them.
Yeah, for real.
Sell them.
No, they need to go a different direction this time.
Boston Celtics star Jaylen Brown becomes first NBA player to sign with Kanye West Donda Sports. Hate it or love it.
He picked up a couple of players last week, too.
Aaron Donald as well.
Love to see it. Buccaneers cut wide receiver Travis Johnson after DUI arrest. Hate it or love it.
I mean, you got to be more careful, man.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all we can say, especially what happened to the Raiders player last year.
Facts. Video shows the moment Tommy Pham slapped Jock Pedersen over fantasy football feud. Hate it or love it.
I love it.
Like, that's what it was over?
Yeah, fantasy football.
Oh, that makes it even better.
Wow. I didn't know that either.
Carlos Boozer recalls renting house to Prince. Hate it or love it.
I love that story.
I do too. And Boozer basically said like he rented out his spot to Prince. Prince changed a lot of his stuff, and so I'm like, he hit him up. It's like Carlos Boozer called Prince, like, hey, I want you to change it back whenever you get these. Like, no, Prince said, no, don't worry about it. I'll send $1 million check deposit. Make sure that my stuff is back in order. When I get back. So he came back. Prince had all of his stuff
a year later, and it was
right
back to how he left it,
and gave him $500,000.
Yeah,
he's like, that's how much money that Prince had.
Hilarious.
Could y'all imagine somebody rent out your spot and said, here, I'll pay you a check of $10,000?
No, I couldn't. If anybody out there would like to rent my spot for it, please.
Let me know.
That's so wild that he said he put it back everything the way it was supposed to be. Like, Prince, you a wild dude.
So what made it even more funny was that he had a gate out in front of his house. And he had his own like Carlos Boozer symbol. Yeah. And he said he pulled up to the gate and Prince had his sign.
Look.
Like, what was he doing in there? Like, what was he was just in
everything.
And look, then don't tell me to make myself at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Prince is one of those dudes, man. Rest in peace to Prince. What you guys got going on for the rest of the day?
Gotta work later.
As well, man.
We're gonna check out this Juneteenth parade.
Steve
calls it the Black History Month parade.
All in one.
Why you gotta bring up old stuff?
We're all rolled into one. Months later.
That was early, man. It was early this morning. But yeah, you guys still have enough time to come down, hang out with us, watch the Juneteenth parade, man. It's gonna be a good time. 18th Divine, you can park somewhere along Paseo. You can find somewhere up along 19th Street. Just come down. Make sure you come down and hang out. And until next week, we are out of here.
Peace.
The views and opinions expressed of the W Radio Show by the co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not represent the opinions of the W Show, 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio, Sideline Sports Talk, Team Wall Street Foundations, or affiliates.